Julian Fletcher, thank you for your time. But let's first talk about the year you've had thus far. You set yourself goals. Up to now, do you think you've met the expectations of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very pleased looking back at the year. I had 8 national records throughout the year. I progressed very steadily throughout the year from my first meet, which was January, to Rio in August. So, really happy with the progression that I had and the goal setting along the way. I set short-term and long-term goals, and some of the short-term goals was to qualify for the Olympics, and then the long-term goals was to obviously swim a best time, and I had a few more long-term goals that I didn't meet in Rio, but happy with the season looking back at it for sure.
Did the ambition or the determination you had going to the World Cup in those 3 Asian countries, did your performance at Rio kind of drive you to want to break those records?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think with those performances, it's sometimes it's harder to swim when you're under pressure. So those performances, I wasn't really under any pressure. I had a lot of pressure leading up into Rio and a lot of media spotlight and friends and family spotlight. So that was great, but a lot of that gets to an athlete, and you kind of can either make it or break it, determining what kind of athlete you are. But with the World Cups in Southeast Asia, I didn't really have a lot of pressure going into it. I knew that I had the national records in the 100 breaststroke already, so I really was trying to just go for best times as opposed to go and win a medal. And I think that helped me actually achieve my goal of reaching a final at the World Cup and becoming the first Bermudian to reach a final at the World Cup. So that was a really, really cool experience for me.
The fact that the 2020 Olympics will be on that side of the world, is that something you were looking for to see how you would adjust to something of that nature?
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's a long ways away, but
it's a long-term goal of mine would be to go to Tokyo 2020, and I think that they would be a great host nation. I think the meet that I went to recently in Tokyo was very well organized. It was well prepared. They treated their athletes great. It was very high tech, and I think that they can definitely improve on the Olympic experience in 4 years, and that's a goal for all athletes. Is to actually compete at the best Olympic Games, maybe whether it's the most watched Olympic Games or whether it's the highest technology or most advanced technology games. So I think it'd be awesome to be there, and yeah, just being there last month just showed me the passion and the excitement that Japan has to host the games in 2020.
Looking at the start of the year, let's go back. What was your biggest fear coming into the year?
Yeah. Well, as an athlete, you always, you try not to think about not succeeding. But as an athlete, you always it crosses your mind here or there. And my biggest fear was not qualifying for the Olympic Games. So I think that with the effort that I put into for the past 2 years, joining a new club in California, learning a lot from swimmers and coaches out there in California, I think all that had helped me pay off and really helped me reach my goal of reaching the Olympic Games.
How much of a better person are you now than you were 2 years ago, given what you've learned and what you've been through?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm more confident, both in and out of the pool, and that shows in the results that I had in Southeast Asia. I went into that meet with more confidence, and the results kind of showed that. And so, when I was trying to qualify in 2012 and didn't qualify, I kind of lost confidence in my athletic ability, in my coaches, in my sport, and so just regaining that confidence back again in the 4-year cycle and reaching my goal of competing at the Olympic Games was to me, very fulfilling.
Have you had that talk yet with yourself about the next 4 years or about the next cycle?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I mean, it's really hard. You got a lot of different aspects you have to think about that go into training an athlete, and those 8 athletes or 7 other athletes that I competed with at the Olympic Games this summer all know what it takes to get there, and they know what they need to do for the next 4 years to get there. So it's not so much about knowing what to do. It's about kind of like using your resources properly to get to where you want to go, and reassessing your goals as well. I mean, like if you've reached your goal going into the last Olympics of earning a national record or breaking a best time, then you kind of have to reassess to see where you can improve on. If in 4 years, if you don't believe that you can become a medalist or a finalist, then there's really no drive as an athlete to kind of train hard and work hard towards that next goal.
The way the standards are set up, it's challenging to reach an A qualifying standard.
Right.
Looking at the fact that you're seriously considering trying to qualify for the 2020 Olympics, how much of that A standard do you think you're going to have to be a regular at in order to be a name in the hat for, say, an Olympic final spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the A standard, it's the way they do the A standard for swimming is they take the top 16th time for the previous Olympics, and that's the benchmark for the A standard. So, as an A, if you qualify as an A athlete or as an A standard athlete, then you're going to have more likelihood of winning a medal or getting a final because you're right there with the top guys. And personally, I think if I could reach an A standard by 2018 Commonwealth Games, then that would actually help me progress towards becoming a finalist. But it's all about progression in the sport. Sometimes you do need to take one step back before you take 3 steps forward, but at some point you kind of have to reassess where you're standing and figure out what your life goals outside of sport are as well, because the career longevity in swimming and Olympic sports isn't very long. I mean, the average age for an athlete, I think, at this Olympics was 28. I'd be 29 at the next Olympics, so I'd be just around average. But at the same time, you kind of have to use your resources properly to help balance your professional life and your athletic life.
You're getting ready to head back to the U.S. to put in a block of training for your next big meet. Yeah. What are some of the things you want to fine-tune coming off of what we would consider successful meet over in Asia? What do you think you're going to have to work on technically to make sure that you're at the same level, if not better?
Right. I think for me, I'm working on my strength. After Rio, I learned that you kind of need to be a strong athlete to be a fast athlete, and I have the base of fitness already. So increasing that strength and just the precision of my turns, precision of my starts. I learned a lot from other athletes at the FINA World Cups in Asia, and so just kind of using what I've learned to help myself swim, and by this point in my career, I've learned my body enough to know what muscles I need to be working on in the gym, or what what I need to do to move in the water for a breaststroke turn. So just working on the precise things that kind of make your race good. Then that's what I'm going to be working.
Breaststroke is very technical and physical. A lot of stuff is done under the water, but just how technical is it to get as much out of your body? Are you, especially, what is the strength part of breaststroke? Is that exploding out of the water, or is it what movement you get underwater?
Yeah, it's probably the movement underwater. Breaststroke is actually the stroke that has the most drag. So you really have to be able to muscle the water as opposed to let the water kind of push you back. You have to learn how to move forward in the water and use your strongest muscles, like your quads and your chest, to be able to kind of push the water push through the water in your race. And a lot of the best breaststrokers like Adam Peaty and Felipe Lima all have that core strength and that size to be able to push through the water.
Is some of watching some of the guys that do breaststroke, they're a lot taller, a lot longer. Does that help them because of the body mass?
No, I think breaststroke is actually the only stroke that you don't need to be tall. You can be shorter because it's not about how long you can reach. It's all about the power that you make with your body size. So if your arms are fast, if your legs move fast, then you'll be able to move fast through the water. It's all relative to your size, really. Yeah.
Why did you pick breaststroke?
Originally, I was a flyer. When I was growing up, my nickname was Flyboy Fletcher, which was given to me by my old coach Martin Allen. But yeah, I kind of started in butterfly and then progressed to IM and breaststroke. And to me, when I was a Carifta athlete, those were the events that I was in medal contention for, that I was making finals in. So I would almost say breaststroke picked me. It's like kind of the stroke that I learned the technique at an early stage of my life, and then just stuck with that.
How many of those 3 Carifta days, how many of those athletes do you still see today competing in major competition?
Yeah, I see a bunch. Yeah, it's really cool to see those guys progress as much as I have, and I've kind of built lifetime friendships with them outside of swimming as well. I know a lot of guys that I went to Carifta with growing up that are working full time now, and I still connect with them. So it's really cool to kind of see both aspects of that. The athlete making their Olympic dream, but also their progression outside of swimming as well.
Looking back, what would be maybe 1 or 2 things that you would change in your build-up to your Olympic performance?
This previous Olympic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's really a 4-year cycle, and I kind of took it in 2 years. I spent 2 years in Dallas at SMU, finishing up my master's, and then I spent 2 years at USC, and I kind of switched programs halfway through. So I think if I started with a new coach at the beginning of the 4-year cycle, that would have helped me kind of reach the goals that I needed to reach in 2 years, so that in 4 years I could have been in contention for a semifinal or a final. So just really looking at the entire picture. I think it's key to just really focus on the entire 4-year cycle and don't lose any faith. When I didn't make the Olympics team in 2012, I lost a ton of faith, and I kind of dropped off athletically for a little bit, and it took me a while to build back up again.
What got you back? What was that moment that said, I'm going back?
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough question. I would say my college coach. He helped me kind of reassess my career. Ben Smith also helped me reassess my career. But yeah, when it comes down to it, really all is a personal decision. So you have to kind of be able to trust yourself and have enough confidence that you can achieve that goal. And just going to Commonwealth Games, I think in 2014 was kind of the starting point for me. I made a semifinal in Commonwealth Games, and I was swimming against some of the top athletes then in the world. Ross Murdoch, Cameron Vandenberg was in my heat. So it was a lot of competition at that meet that I felt that I could take on in the next 2 years, and so that kind of helped boost my confidence a little bit. And then finding a team to train with and reassessing new goals, and that all helped to make my Olympic dream.
When you're a professional athlete, how much time do you spend looking in the mirror, talking to the person that you're staring at? Because you've got to do a lot of soul searching, because there's a lot of challenges, not just in the pool, but outside the pool.
Yeah. I find a lot of that for me is going to be mostly after a race, after a really bad race. If I don't do well at a meet, if I didn't reach my goal that I wanted to reach, if my timeline wasn't going properly, I really have to look myself in the mirror and say, all right, what are you doing wrong? What do you need to change? Or even like the question comes up, do you still want to do this? And you kind of have to ignore that question. And sometimes successful athletes don't know why they're doing the work that they're doing day to day, but in the end, it's going to be all worth it. And you have to know that deep down that the end goal is all worth the work that you're putting in. So I would say that the soul searching to me would be right after a race that I didn't do well. That's the hardest part for me, to motivate myself to do better.
How much of I would call a diet, when you go to these international meets, how much does that play into your preparation? Because you're going to different countries that don't always have what you're comfortable or what you're eating, sort of thing. So how much of that, diet-wise, plays into the psyche of competing?
I think that plays a huge part. I think the competitions also do a great job at giving a wide range of food selection to the athletes, so they can kind of pick and choose what they want. Athletically, as you get older, you know what you need, whether you need more protein in your body before a big competition or carbohydrates, whether you should be eating energy gels before a race or a pre-workout mix drink before your race. You kind of learn these things throughout racing, throughout the experience of your career, and so you kind of come prepared anyway. When I pack my bag, I got my suits, my goggles, and then I also have the whey protein, because that's going to help me recover and help my body recover and get ready for a race. I pack my the Gatorade gels, because that's going to help re-energize. So and then some Nutrigrain bars and some other bars. So I tend to bring stuff with me if I do need it. And then the food outside of what I eat is, it's usually a wide selection of food. So.
Every year, WADA come out with new codes, new things to look at. How much attention do you as an athlete pay to that?
I think that's very important. I mean, it's not really an excuse as an elite athlete to say, oh, I didn't know that they banned this substance, on this date. To me, you're an elite athlete, so you need to prepare the way every other elite athlete prepares, and that includes looking at the substances that are banned, looking at the ones that are legal, and I take a few supplements to work out with, and a few supplements to swim with, and I have this system where I have a little green sticker. If I know that it's legal, if I've researched it, it's actually pretty easy to do online.
They make it very easy.
And then if it's not legal, I'll just toss it out. So, usually most of the over-the-counter stuff is legal. But it definitely is important to do your research. You have to make sure that you're aware of what you're intaking, both from a health standpoint and from a WADA standpoint. So I think that'll continue throughout my career, my life. I'm not going to be taking. Obviously, banned substances are banned for a reason. Both they're bad for you, for your health. They increase performance. They're performance enhancing. So, I would continue to do what I'm doing now.
For youngsters, the onus falls on the athlete or their coaching team?
That's tough. I think at a certain age, you kind of have to take responsibility yourself. I would say that age would probably be 16 to 18. You really should know what you're taking, and as a coach, you should never be forcing any athlete to take anything, whether or not that's whey protein. That's even you shouldn't be telling the athlete what to take, because then that with that there comes a fine line of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. So, and sometimes if the athlete is very absorbent, sometimes if you tell them these are the things you need to take, they're going to take them regardless. So the coach does need to take some responsibility from their athletes and at a young age. But once they turn over about 18, you kind of have to take that responsibility yourself.
The sport of swimming took the limelight for all the wrong reasons in Rio at the end of it. How much of that kind of dampens the whole Olympic movement, the whole Olympic experience?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, when the World Anti-Doping Association deems an athlete legal to compete, and the athletes competing at the Olympic Games, but people are booing them throughout the stands, it's not very, it's not very Olympic. You kind of want fair play, and you want to trust everyone's like values and morals. But when it comes down to it, WADA is the determining factor of whether or not that an athlete is playing fair. So, if WADA accepts them into the games, then I think it's a little bit unfair to be booing them in a crowd and giving them disadvantage in the stadium. But I think that this Olympics was probably the most highlighted in doping for sure, and we'll see in another 2 to 4 years there'll probably be results that come back that show certain athletes were taking certain supplements. So it's tough. Yeah, justice is never really given.
But I was just going to say, it must be tough for the athletes themselves, because it could prove a spot in a final, a B final, or any final, that person that just misses out, or even a better placement.
Right.
But that's taken away from you. That moment is gone. How do you, as an athlete, how do you assess that? Because we've known that, speaking with other athletes and in other sports, that you get a medal, but you got a call to say a medal's coming your way.
It's not acceptable. I think WADA needs to be able to determine these at the time that they're that if an athlete is doping at the Olympic Games, they should be booted out before they're able to stand on the podium and listen to their national anthem.
So would you? I mean, because as you know, the award ceremony is structured in a way. It's between, especially final nights. Yeah. It's between certain events, and they bring everyone out and stop. Yeah. And so, how much time will they have to determine whether or not? Because in the morning it's the heats.
Right.
In the evening there's the final. If someone doesn't take a substance but makes the final in the morning side, but they take a substance midday, and they win the final, when do you test it? How
well, the athletes get tested immediately after their final race.
Right.
But the problem is that that just collects the sample, and the sample is not tested for weeks afterwards. So you're never going to catch them at that point. But I think that athletes that are doping are consistently doping throughout the year. So
not a one-off thing.
Yeah, if WADA kind of pumps more money into their laboratories and drug tracking methods, then I think that they can be on par with these athletes and doctors that are trying to gain advantage in competition. And that to me is the biggest problem, is that the WADA is so underfunded that they're not able to keep up with these athletes that are kind of advancing in doping.
They have doctors trying to determine, and the athletes have doctors trying to beat them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you look back to that question, that athlete shouldn't have been allowed to compete in the heat or the final if they're taking performance. If they're questionable dopers. And it's interesting because you said before that people get a call up and say, hey, listen, you came fourth in 2012, but such and such that came second was doping, so now you have a bronze medal. That doesn't have the same fulfillment as winning a bronze medal and standing up on the stadium, on the podium. Right. But there's also another factor is that if the top 16 if there's like 4 of the top 16 that are doping, then that increases the A standard, which is 16th place in swimming,
Right.
for the next Olympic Games. So it's like it's also
almost an unreachable
deterring.
determination.
Yeah, it's also deterring certain athletes that are trying to get the A standard in 4 years.
Right.
There's like a time bracket. Like say if the time is like a 1005,
Right.
but 4 athletes are doping, so that would mean you take 20th place, which is a
Right.
1009, and bump them up to 16th.
Right.
So then the A standard should be a 1009 instead of a 1005.
Right.
So that time gap in between 0.5 and 0.9, is probably like 30 athletes that have the potential to
Right.
qualify for the
Qualify for the-
next
right,
Olympics,
right.
but they don't get their spot because there were athletes doping in the previous Olympics.
Right.
So there's a whole chain of effects from doping.
Right.
So it's not just the top that suffer; it's the entire sport that suffers.
Well, immediately you're off after this weekend, and you're heading off to training. Whilst everyone else is preparing for Christmas, Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations, you're preparing for competition.
Yeah.
You and
And Rebecca Heiliger will be
Right.
there as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're taking one coach. I think Richard Goodwin's planning on coming with us. So
Okay.
be a team of 3 of us traveling to Windsor. And it's going to be a fast meet. I'm excited to race. Excited to try and drop on those national records a little bit, and hopefully with a little bit of rest and a little bit of little bit of rest and a little bit more preparation back in LA. I think I can definitely drop those times down.
2017 is a big year for Bermuda in sports. As we all know, we're hosting the America's Cup.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, there's several other events going on in 2017, but what is your ultimate plans for 2017?
I'm taking it month by month at the moment. The goal would be to qualify for the World Championships, which is the summer of 2017, which is hosted in Budapest. Right now I'm like 1/100th off of the qualifying time, so I would have to get a best time in order to qualify, which will be hard. But
Is that long course or short?
long course,
Long
yeah,
course,
that'll be a
okay.
long course World Champs. So yeah, I think the goal would just be to try and qualify, and then see from there what I can do to improve on my qualifying time.
Looking at the 2, long course, short course, because a lot of people don't realize there's 2. What is the challenge of the long course, say 50 rest, as opposed to the short course 50 rest?
This is more endurance based. You don't have that turn in the middle of the 50 to help you kind of rest and also give you like that advantage off of the wall. So it's more endurance based. You have to be able to hold your stroke longer. It's kind of you have a different distance per stroke, a different tempo when you're swimming long course. So it's a very very small adjustment, but to swimmers it feels like you're swimming a completely different race.
Right. All right. Well, all the best.
Thank you very much.
We'll be looking out for those results in December, 6th and 7th.
6th to the 11th.
6th to the 11th. Okay.
Long week.
Well, we'll be looking for those results. All the best on trying to lower those national records, and hope 2017 and your future is a great one.
Thanks.